Well, collectors, I want to welcome you to the November 2019 Cornfield Show. This is the place at the Roberts Center in Wilmington, Ohio. And as usual, we're having a good time here. It's a great show, especially for dealers and for collectors wanting to get good prices, because you can really shop here and it's not so crowded, so you have plenty of time to talk to dealers. So if you don't have this show on your schedule, it's twice a year, and it's really one that you don't want to miss. It's a good show. And as we like to do, we'll show you first some of the things we have on our table, and then we'll get around and talk to some other people. I'll show you right at this first item here. This is a pretty rare police bayonet here. It comes from the Weimar time, but more than likely was worn during the time of the Third Reich. And as you'll notice, it has brass fittings instead of the usual nickel-plated type. There was a group in the Prussian police that wore gilded brass in their outfit. Luckily, we never have learned what the reason for that is, but we know that it exists because here's an example. And what's nice about this piece too is that it's still its original full length, has a 17-inch long blade, and on the Nazi pieces, as most of you know, they cut them down to 13 inches. And they also removed the clamshell, which this still has on it. And this one has brown scabbard leather, so it was worn in a rural section of Prussia. Even has the original frog on it.
That makes sense.
Made by Alcozo. Quite an interesting piece. Not cheap though, it's $2,500, but go try and find one. It's really a rare bayonet. And we have a great assortment of other items. Just about anything you could use. Bobby will just pan down the table.
Good, I need space.
And we got forestry cutlasses, hunting cutlasses, imperial naval daggers, RLBs, along with Bandschuts, sea customs, land customs, and some nice miniatures. Here we have some 20s style navals and a Red Cross, Kriegsmarine naval pieces, some beautiful armies, terrific condition, a couple of RADs, and we have 3 etched pieces here, one being the Voos with the ivory grip on the end, and then in the center is an unmarked piece that has the same etch as the Voos, and then an army on the end with also the Voos style etch with an unmarked blade. And we have some RADs, diplomatic, government official, some nice SS items. I like this chained SS. It has a mint blade and the fittings have never been cleaned, so they still got that real dark, dull nickel patina to them. Love that, don't you guys? And then we have a full SS Rome here, one of the rarest of all the standard SS daggers. Some fine metals, an SS with the Rome completely ground out. Got some neat airplanes here. These would have been models that would have been on pilots' desks. We have a couple of Stukas and an ME-109, all in original condition. And then some NSKK, DLV, Tino, and a couple of rare etch bayonets. This one is to a Panzer regiment, very rare bayonet. And the one next to it is to a Luftwaffe flak regiment. It's got a flak gun down in the corner of it. So that's just some of the things. I wanted to take you back and show you an NSKK crash helmet we have too. This NSKK helmet is a real early initial production type with the early eagle on it. And see how beautiful that eagle is patinaed. What's really cool, these were Patton leather used on the top, and the original shine is still on the Patton leather. You almost never see that on these helmets. The condition of it is extraordinary. And then the thing that's really something, the original protective leather is still completely intact and mint on the back. The chin straps are still in mint condition. And when you turn this hat over, it's unbelievable. Look at the condition of this leather and look at the condition of the headliner. It even has the original RZM tag still in it. It's got the maker's name down inside, G. Frolina, with a crown over a lion. And then the size of the helmet is marked in there, 56. It's just really something to find an NSKK helmet in this condition. I got it from the son of his mother was an antique dealer in a small town near us, and she bought it in the 1970s and didn't want to put it in display in her antique shop. It was not politically correct. You guys all know about that stuff. So she put it in a box all these years, and her son came in and sold it to us the other day down in my cellar. And I was really glad to get it. A beautiful helmet. Well, we're walking down the aisles here at the show. And,
hey, what are you doing here?
How are you? Good best.
Good Thomas, what's up, brother?
Oh man, really good to see you
Robbie,
guys.
what's up?
You guys know Joe and Bill because you've seen them on other videos, and if we don't have them in the video, we get complaints. So we're lucky to find them this time. So you guys got something cool again?
We did. We did some deals in the parking lot, and
parking lot stuff.
deals
Here
are
we
always
go.
fun. I feel like a gypsy dealing out of the back of my wagon.
Well, you got to get all the grease off of them now and all that stuff.
And the weather's decent outside. It's not snowing. And
Tom, if it's not under the table, it's in the trunk. That's where you gotta look.
That's
well, here,
how it
I'll pull
works,
some
yeah.
things out.
Yeah, let's see what you guys got. I hope it's worthy of a Wittmann video.
Only you can decide that.
We don't want to look at any junk here, you know, from these guys. Well, you collectors have come to know that Bill and Joe only have the best, so here we go.
Some fun things.
Oh, look at here. Yeah, this is something collectors, I remember when we first started in the hobby, when you'd see aluminum fittings on an Army dagger like that. Oh, that's a repro. They would have never done that.
Parts piece.
Well, yeah, parts piece. And you see how deep the orange grip is. And even though the mounts are aluminum, the scabbards were standard steel, nickel, or silver plated. Let's see who made this one. Wow, it's got a terrible blade on it too, doesn't it? Look at that blade. See, this is what you like to collect. I mean, look at that. That blade is outstanding, and it's made by Seelheimer, which is a rare producer. They probably bought these fittings from Pack.
Yes.
That's what I would say.
I think you're right, Tom.
Because if you compare the crossguard to the fittings I show in my Army book for Pack, you'll see they're the same. Yeah. This is a wonderful dagger.
Thank you.
What else you got, Bill?
Well, I've got a first model railway that I really have never had one of these before. I've had second model railways, but turned up a first model railway.
Collectors, this is something you don't see very often. The so-called first model railway. The first thing you notice, oh, it's an Army dagger with a black grip. Well, you can see something here right off the top. Notice how the grip is longer than a normal Army dagger? If you're going to buy one of these, you want to see the grip is longer, and also the formation at the lower portion of it, it slims down much more than a general Army dagger. And then you'll find them with mounts that are either what I call generic A or generic B. In this case, they're generic B. And then the one thing that you always want to see on these, if you can, if you look on the end of the carrying bands, see that asterisk there? This asterisk was made by the man that worked for Robert Class that finished these pieces, and this was where the casting flaw would have been. So it was his tactic to put asterisks there, and little did he know at the time that he was doing us all a big favor. And I'm just assuming this is a class piece, which of course it is. See, that's what you want to see. Don't buy one of these if it isn't a Robert Class, and don't buy it if it doesn't have that grip that I'm talking about. And the same goes true with the asterisk. Don't buy it, you're wasting your money. Many of these were put together by the Atwood organization in the 60s and 70s, just using regular daggers. And don't we see them all the time, Bill? We really do. And so many collectors get stuck on that. So there you go. That's a good lesson for you. If you don't even watch the rest of the video, that alone is worth it.
This is a dagger. I've never owned one before, and if anyone should have a funeral dagger, it should be me. I've been a funeral
being
director
as yeah, you're in the
50
business.
years. And so
well, we call these funeral director daggers, but they're Luftwaffe daggers, and it's hard for me to believe that somebody would buy a dagger just to go to a funeral. But you know what? Collectors don't want to buy something unless there's a name for it.
So true.
And we have the same thing here. The funeral daggers like this, they will also be made by Robert Class. And one of the things you want to look at with them too is that Class used this real thin aluminum wire on them. And when you see that, you go, oh, I can't wait to look at the blade and see if it's a Robert Class, which I'm sure this one is. Bill, don't make a fool out of me. Oh, it is. Yeah, there we go. We're covered.
One of the first things I looked for.
And these black grip Luftwaffe daggers, funeral daggers, if you will, are super rare, much rarer than the so-called first model.
Yes.
I personally believe that some sharp salesman walked into the Robert Class factory one day and said, you know what, we got a ton of black celluloid here, and I'll bet you could use that for something. And I think that's kind of what happened.
Probably made him a
but
good deal.
That's just my thinking of, you know. Remember now, these factories, they were in business to make money. Just like funeral directors, just like dealers in German daggers. If you can't make any money, you can't pay your staff. Just think of all those workers with that saw and grinding, and somebody had to pay them, so they had to make money. So maybe a good deal on black grips is what happened there.
Maybe so. But
It doesn't matter though, because it's a legitimate variation.
And once again, it benefited the collecting community.
It absolutely did. We love these.
Thank you.
I have one in my collection too. I think everybody should.
And I finally have one. So it's been a great experience for me.
Wonderful,
Real
wonderful
treasure.
daggers.
Thank you, Tom, for
Thank
looking
you.
at them.
Thank you. Well, we finally got finished with Bill's treasures, and now here's Joe here chomping at the bit.
No.
You know, how you doing, Joe?
Good, Thomas.
Doing
Thank
good?
you. Yeah. Good running, Joel.
Let's see what you have, Joe. I like to be surprised.
You've
I
never
have no idea.
No, you've
what's
never
under
seen
there.
this. You got sunglasses.
Oh, need it?
Maybe so.
Oh boy.
Okay.
I better put my
I'll
glasses
let you
on.
do all the narrating.
All right, I don't mind. Wow, which one do you want me to pick first?
You can start either end.
Let me take the one in the middle. See, this is something, collectors, that is really a rare bayonet. And a lot of you are thinking, it's just a bayonet, what's the big deal? But if you'll notice, it has stag grip plates. They're on both sides. And the stag grip plates are all rounded and come all the way over. So it makes it an entirely different concept than a standard bayonet. And then it has a crossguard made of steel. But look at the condition of this. Unbelievable. The screws are all in brand new condition. The scabbard, is that original paint, Joe? It looks
It
like
is real
to me.
original paint, but
Yeah.
there's also something very special about this piece, and I think you'll soon discover
I'm
what it is.
not there yet, but I'll bet I'll
get
find
there.
it. I'll bet I'll find it. And look at the frog collectors, a beautiful brown frog. This is what we call, by the way, a Luftwaffe forestry bayonet. And when we open it up, let's see if it's got the standard marks on it. All right, now there's something different on this one. Normally, these bayonets will be marked Waffen-Losch Berlin on one side, and then they'll have two initials, AV, I think it is.
Yes.
And then on the spine, they'll usually have an H. Now, what's strange about this minty thing is that it has no maker marks or identification at all. So what do you account that to,
Tom, the
Joe?
only thing I can think of, this thing came right off the shelf before they had the chance to stamp it, proof it,
possible.
and issue it. That's the only reason I can think that.
It's possible because it's certainly an original piece, and no
Yes.
question about it. And the condition is such that it really does not look like it was worn at all. I'm thinking that there's also a possibility that it may have been made for the commercial market and possibly sold commercially in a hunting store or whatever. And perhaps they wouldn't have marked it because those were the marks that were probably on there for purposes of the Luftwaffe. So it could be commercial too. Either way, it's a wonderful.
It's a very interesting piece,
Very
and of course, mint condition.
beautiful. Well, you own it, so it has to be mint, right, Joe? That's how it works.
Absolutely.
And let's see what else we got here. Can't you find the chain SS's any better than this?
Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah.
Do we have to look at this piece of crap?
Day's not over yet, Tom.
Oh man, look at this, collectors. See, now this is a later piece, and the later pieces, the chain will be nickel plated, and the mounts will be also nickel plated. But when you see condition like this, who cares? You know, it's in brand new condition. Absolutely beautiful. This is what we call the Type 1 chain.
Type 1C, I believe, Tom.
And usually you can identify those. Well, the skulls are bigger, but also the top nib that connects the chain to the clover leaf is the same size and not tapered. On the other type chains, the so-called Type 2, it is tapered. And then another thing on Type 1s, the clover leaf, you can see through the top of the clover leaf, and usually we'll see a DRGM in there.
Sometimes.
And this also has an anodized scabbard, which really makes it nice. Can we look at the blade, Joe?
Please do.
Well, there's certainly no letdown here. Boy, oh boy. I mean, this dagger literally looks like it came out of the box. And on a late dagger like this, you generally want to see them unmarked. Sometimes you'll see the early ones are marked, but that's because guys didn't want to buy the dagger; they just bought the scabbard. But boy, this is the only flaw in the whole dagger is a couple of little nibs here where the chain probably was stored incorrectly and hit it there. Aside from that, this piece is perfect. See, as I said in my last video, I think that I told you guys that buy the absolute best or the most that you can possibly afford, because then you'll always have something that's great. There'll never be any apologies to be made when it comes time to sell a piece like this. The only thing the guy will ask is, where do you want me to put the money? I mean, it's right though.
That's true.
In that kind of condition, Joe. I mean,
So I've learned, Tom, buy the best that you can.
oh, this is
worth it.
really fabulous. A beauty.
Thank you.
And then you got your usual array of mint Hitler Youth knives. One with a tag here. What tag is this?
That is a Frederick Pluker.
Watch how you pronounce that.
Pluker. Yes.
Pluker is probably right.
I had a lisp.
I would probably say plucker and then I'd be in trouble, but that's probably right. But boy, that's a rare tag.
It is, Tom. I have to be honest. I've had the tag for well over 2 years.
Yeah.
Just waiting for the right dagger for it, which is nearly impossible to find.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I wouldn't
this
even have
popped
known that
up.
they made one.
I fell out of my chair when I saw this dagger, and I did what I did to get it.
Absolutely
So,
mint. And does that RZM mark
Yeah.
equate to Pluker?
Yes, 7/62. Yes, sir.
How about that, collectors?
Yes.
So that makes for a really choice item here. Blades in magnificent condition too. Yeah, make sure we get that mark. Get it, Rob? All right. Yeah, that's a honey. Honey. And the other one has got a beautiful scabbard too, and the hilt's absolutely perfect. Oh,
Surprise.
oh, that is a surprise. Every once in a while, collectors, you'll run into a Hitler Youth knife that'll have a blade that's different from others. I honestly have never seen a blade like this one. And you think that somewhere during the time it was redone or it was ordered that way? Or
Well, I can tell you that these are in reference books. And
Yeah.
at home, I do have reference, actual pictures of this dagger in existence with the original issue sack.
yeah,
They were supposedly made by WKC.
Yeah.
And they're supposedly marked, but the mark is so far up the tang, you literally
Yeah.
have to take this off the
Yeah.
ricasso to see the mark.
well, you can't on a
but you can't-
Hitler Youth knife. The leather should be behind the shoulder, so you
Yes.
can't take them off.
Exactly.
Well, that's a new one on me.
Yep.
Sure is in choice
And notice
condition.
the buffer pigskin matches
Oh yeah,
the pigskin.
yeah, good point.
Just a nice variant
how it's
on a
beveled there?
common knife.
Yeah. This is the kind of thing you might not want to buy as your first Hitler Youth knife, but if you
Right.
have several and you're interested in Hitler Youth knives, it makes for a nice
Sure.
variation.
Absolutely.
Very, very nice. Well, Joe, looks like you did it again.
Oh, well, it's enjoyable. It's fun.
You're the best.
Thank you, Thomas. Thanks
you,
for
sir.
being here.
Yes, sir.
Robbie, behind the camera, thank you, buddy.
Yeah. Well, we're walking around the cornfield show, and we came across a 3-star general here. Wow, how did you get that? You look terrific.
Thank you.
What is your name?
My name is Stephen Remland.
Stephen
Remland.
Remling. And where did you get this wonderful uniform?
Well, my dad bought a size 34 uniform off
34.
of eBay,
Yeah,
and it originally had this patch here
yeah,
and another patch instead of this one.
uh-huh.
And it was different, very different looking uniform. But he knows how to sew patches and stuff on, so he put the insignia.
And he cut the
patches
uniform
on.
down too? Wow.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sounds like a pretty good dad to know, doesn't it? Especially if you're in the uniform business. Well, this is tremendous. How old are you?
I am 9 years old,
9 years old?
almost turning 10 in February,
Very good.
and I'm in 4th grade.
What's your favorite subject?
My favorite subject is social studies.
Social studies. So you learn some history there. At least you learn where all the countries are. And, well, I think you look terrific in this.
Thank
and
you.
and it's so great to see the United States represented in the proper way. And you know, we're all patriotic at these shows, and we appreciate you coming a lot. And I hope you'll go on to collect American uniforms and other things.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Can I shake your hand, General? Very good.
Thank you.
Well, we're over here. We're talking to the famous Dan Liptak from upper state New York, and Danny's been around for, more years than me. I think you started
45 years, a long time, yeah.
That's a long time. And Danny, this time he's got a collection of armbands that's really imposing, and I thought maybe you collectors would like to see some of these, because they're armbands that you just don't see much. Where'd you get all these, Dan?
Well, they came from a collector in the Midwest. There's 250 pieces, and I've sold a fair amount of them. And
250 pieces.
yes.
Yeah. You see, collectors, these are things you don't see very often. A Hilf's Polizei, that's a helper for the police. It's not very jazzy, but it is what it is,
Exactly.
and it's a pretty rare thing. Here's another police. I'm not sure what this one is, but still, just the fact that it's Polizei, people would want it. You have things like these. What are these, customs or something?
Yes, customs,
yeah.
different towns and whatnot.
Yeah, you don't see that. Here's more police, the rural or whatever. Are they the town colors?
Yes.
Or the town colors. But they're really stuff you don't see. Tino. I mean, we see these, but when do you ever see this? And
DDA.
DDA. What is the DDA?
I think it's an automobile.
Oh, okay. Kind of neat with the swaz on it. There's another one.
Some railway pieces, I think, getting into the railway section.
Railway, yeah. Here we go, railway police. I mean, that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Not pretty,
I've
but
never
still
seen it. Never
unusual.
seen it. No. So for you guys that like armbands, I mean, there's some cool things here. Here's a postal armband. That's a fairly rare armband. You wouldn't think so, because the post
lot of
office is a
postal
big.
people,
But
yeah.
you know, but when do you see that? Not often. And some nice red crosses. It's kind of different with all the markings on them.
Stretcher bearers.
Stretcher bearers, and you know, we see them quite a bit, but just and look at these, the small armbands, all marked and all. It's really rare stuff. RLBs, Luftschutz. This is a beautiful RLB. Man, I love the color
Yeah,
of
the
it.
sunburst is almost
Yeah, that's the first type, and then here's more. This is the officer with the tress on it. These are the later RLBs. Just some really cool stuff here.
goes on and on.
Yeah, it goes on, and these are, well, here's a Secret Heights Hilfsdienst.
Yep,
That's
secret police.
Secret police, yep.
Bad guys.
Yep. So it's just, and this is just one album. There's three of them, and they're just loaded with stuff here. They just fantastic. Four of them.
This is the one of the unique ones.
I
think.
like that.
This
That's
Hitler Youth, hand done, but just very.
yeah, obviously real though. Yeah, it's just an amazing amount of. Oh, here's some organization tote. They're kind of hard to come by too. It's a real treasure trove you got here, Dan.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience for myself too. A lot of these I've never.
Yeah,
seen.
who's ever seen them, you know? How many were in the whole collection?
Just over 250.
All different.
All different.
That's amazing. So a lot of collectors, they say, well, Mr. Wittmann, what should I zero in on? What do you think I should collect? I'm buying all these things, and this is something here you could just do armbands. I mean, there's so much variety. Some of them are cheap, some of them are expensive, but you work your way up as you go. And there's not that many people that really know a lot about armbands,
Exactly.
too. There's no good book on them.
No,
there's
not
never been a book that was written on them. There's probably, just to make a guess, I'll bet you there was probably 2,500 different armbands that were used, you know, and so it's an endless, you know, like stamp collecting. You'll never fill up the whole stamp album. Well, the same is true with armbands, and it's a good thing. You too could become an expert on them. You'll be world renowned. You'll be the only guy that knows armbands, you know, and then do a book. So these are just some ideas,
Exactly.
right?
Right, and you know, from $75 to $300, you can buy a lot of them. I mean, there's quite a few in here more than that, but I mean, you don't have to spend a fortune.
It's true. It's a good way of, you know, let's say you got $1,000 that your wife is willing to let you spend on stuff. You can buy a lot of armbands for $1,000.
Exactly.
You know? And you can buy just one too.
True.
So, well, anyhow, we thought you'd be interested in that. Thanks a lot, Dan. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Cool. Well, we're looking around the hall here at the Roberts Center. You can see it's pretty large. I would say maybe 500 or 600 tables here, and they do have the ability to expand, which they were telling me yesterday they would want me to take 6 or 8 tables next time. So they're going to expand into the other hall. So maybe that'll really get the show going. But it's been going a lot better than it used to be here. As you can see, there's a lot of people here. It's Saturday morning. While we're here, I wanted to show you something that I think is really interesting. This is obviously an original framed piece, and you're looking at the political eagle on the top, which is really a different one. I've never seen this format. It's really neat. And the photograph itself, of course, is a picture of the men mill at the Feldernhalle, and this was the plaque. Of course, it was made with the party people that were killed during the putsch, and it was guarded 24 hours a day by SS Deutschland honor guards. And you can see the 2 honor guards in front of the men mill. And this picture, it says basically in memory of my service time with SS Standard Deutschland, and it's from his friends and signed by an SS Standartenführer. It's really quite a rare item, and very, very desirable, I would think. What is this worth, sir? Approximate value.
You didn't have a price on it.
You don't have a price on it. I don't blame you. It's priceless. That's a wonderful thing. Thank you for letting us look at that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Well, like we always do, we have to have our movie star friend here, Walter Kanzler. I know you're a star these days.
Hi, Tom. How are
Good to
you?
see you, Walter. I noticed that you've brought a
Isn't that
very
thing's-
very interesting. It's kind of like a sofa cover or
Yeah,
something
throw.
like that, a throw rug from the Imperial period, and has the Kaiser's crown, the Imperial eagle, and what does it say on the bottom here, Walter?
It says
For Recht und Freiheit.
yeah, for freedom.
Oh, for freedom.
Yeah,
Okay.
for the right way and freedom.
Yeah. It seems to be in incredible condition considering this is over 100 years old.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
really
Look at it.
in wonderful condition, yeah. This would be a great thing for you collectors that maybe wanted to add just a little something to put some zip into your collecting room.
Yes.
And there's no offense here because it's Imperial and nobody's going to get mad at you. So it's kind of a good thing. What else we got, Walter? You always have interesting things.
Quite a few different items. I've got a nice NPEA,
Yeah?
a really nice one,
And what
and
else?
a really odd maker NSKK.
Oh, yeah.
It's Geddes Nachfolger. In other words, the people who took over after that guy died, which is a very unusual.
Yeah. But a Soligan-based firm, and
Yes,
they
yep.
used a triangle with the 2 swords piercing it. That is an unusual maker.
Yeah, yeah, and really nice condition.
Yeah,
too.
it is, yeah.
And
What else is cool?
Christmas ornaments, of course.
No,
Zeppelin.
Zeppelin, yeah.
Oh, this I just got. I'm really, really happy to get. In the 1970s, I collected Colt automatic pistols, usually the military ones. This is
look at that.
This is a Colt Match 45 with the Ace 22 unit. But the real interesting thing about this one is it's marked U.S. property. So it was bought by the government for training, because this, with the 22 unit on, it has the same recoil as the 45.
So this barrel would come off.
This slide comes off, that goes on, this clip goes in, and that spring is in, and it shoots 22s, but it has the same recoil as a 45.
So you still get
the feeling of shooting a 45.
And what year would you say that was?
This is 70s.
The 70s.
Yeah, 60s, 70s, something like
Wow,
that.
it's a beautiful rigging.
And it's the original case.
Yeah, with the Colt on the top of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one really phenomenal thing, because if you think about it, 36 Olympics, the fire police patch for the sleeve patch for the Olympic Village.
Oh, so these would have been people.
These were the guards at the Olympic Village.
And looking for fire problems or whatever.
Fire police.
Fire police, yeah.
Which is absolutely. This is something I just picked up, which is unbelievably neat. It's a numbered print for the 6 guys who received the 100 tank badge.
Oh, wow.
These are all guys from the division of Das Reich, all SS.
Wow.
This is really, really special.
When would that have been signed then?
This here, it's got the date. July 1943.
Wow.
That was when the Battle of Kursk was. These guys were in that. This is from the 90s, 80s or 90s. It's a numbered print.
Wow, that's really a great thing. It's in wonderful condition too.
Oh, it's perfect. Yeah, which print it better be.
Oh yeah. Wow.
This is one of the most unique things I picked up. It says here for the Eniwetok guinea pigs. This little citation was given out to the witnesses of the A-bomb over the Bikini Atoll.
Oh, that's when they were first testing.
That was the first test of the water where they sunk all the ships.
Right.
The picture you usually see of the big mushroom cloud over the water where it sank all the ships. This guy was there.
So they gave this certificate
to several of the guys, not a lot of the guys, because I've spoken to quite a few of the guys who collect Cold War and atomic bomb stuff and all. They'd never seen one.
Wow.
So it had to be fairly unique.
I don't think, it was probably a great thing at the time, but I think in retrospect, we wouldn't do that anymore, right? I mean, radiation, I had no idea what was going to happen.
The only thing the last A-bomb that went off was the North Koreans, and it was underground.
Yeah.
And we did our last ones underground.
Wow.
And
so that's really something.
That I think is extremely historic.
And they called themselves guinea pigs?
Yeah.
Oh, how appropriate.
Government, and it's signed by a general, so I guess he figured he was one too.
Yeah, I guess so.
Got some nice hats.
I see that.
After Corps General.
Wow.
Both of these are generals. These are Panzer Crusher. This is the most unique. A Panzer Crusher, but an RL.
Oh. Arel didn't make many crushers?
I've never seen one before.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Really super thing. And of course the Russian Cossack. A real Russian Cossack hat.
Yeah, that's a rare bird there.
Yeah. And a neat thing.
Got to have a jerry can.
And if you wanted your SS gasoline, it had to come in the SS gas can.
Is this, it's marked SS.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you see this, collectors?
It's an actual SS
I just
gas
thought
can.
it was an old jerry can Walter was carrying around in his trunk in case he ran out of gas. And look at this, it's SS marked. Boy, that's a rare item.
Yes, it is.
Wow. Never saw that before.
These are some interesting guns. This is the 1841 Dryza needle fire rifle. Just think about it. This thing was issued in 1853. The U.S. had muzzle-load smoothbore muskets, 1842s and 55s. When the Germans had bolt-action cartridge.
So they were
rifles.
well ahead of
Oh my
their
God!
time with
They
that.
were the
yeah.
world. They didn't even let the guys go out of the garrison with the guns because they were afraid, you know, the French would have got a hold of one or this or that.
Yeah, stole
And-
the secrets.
How about paratrooper medic?
Wow, I never knew they even had them.
Sure.
Of course they would have to, yeah.
Paratrooper medic.
Never seen that before.
Camo,
Camo.
and this is called the Normandy pattern.
Oh yeah, great. Boy, those are some rare helmets. there.
Yes, and the double dip
Yeah.
Army issued reissue.
So this was like a 1917 that
That's
they
the 1918 helmet.
and they repainted it and put the
Reissued it, yeah, usually to, you know, behind the lines troops.
Yeah, boy, it's in nice condition too.
Yeah, and this Africa Corps medic.
Wow, that's a rare one too.
Yes.
Yeah, look at this, collectors. It has the Africa Corps sand
Yeah.
tan color with the Red Cross symbol, and then the insignia moved over a little bit to save room for everything. And then on the other side is also the medic symbol. Wow, that's cool.
And this is the ever popular Volkswagen.
Ah, that would be a factory worker?
That would be the factory police.
Oh, I see.
Factory police,
Yeah.
Volkswagen, and
BMW.
yeah.
Wow. Well, we're here at my buddy Bill Renault's table, but Bill's not here. I guess he's getting a sandwich or something, but there's some interesting things here that you don't see very often. In particular, here's a street sign for Deutsche Reichsbahn. Original, and I don't know why it's rare, but I've never seen one like that. Very interesting. I like street signs, and in this next showcase, he has tail art from airplanes. This is an NSFK, which probably came off of the tail of a glider airplane. And then this must have come off of another type of airplane, and the same with the one behind it here. But you know, that's always interesting stuff and rare and hard to find. So you see a lot of different things here at this show. It's well worthwhile to come out and take a look. So I hope you collectors enjoyed what we showed you this time. We have to get packed up and get out of here, so we have to cut it short at this point. So we'll see you next time.